I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing around with another man's wife. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Threw my boss out the window and got fired for my last job. Hot-wired a city truck and turned it over in the mayor's yard. Paid my brother-in-law half to death. Lost $20 on his football bet. But other than that, we ain't nothing, just good old boys. Good old boys, we're all the same. Ain't no way we will ever change.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show without Ash this morning, who is traveling. I am your host, Brent Carter. Glad to be here. Thankful to have you here alongside Commander Cody.
How y'all doing today?
He's over there on the hill. He's got it under control. Let's see. Commander, your camera's not working. I need you to figure out why that can't. I tried to give Cody cam. It's just nothing there. It just says there's a task going on.
It's better for everyone else that way.
Okay, so there you are. If I flash to Cody, it's just a black hole. There's nothing there. But he's sauntering out, nimble of foot this morning to check things out. I turned it on and it just said task in process. I don't know what that means. I just ignored it. The Wade and Carter weather is brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Feed. For everything you need, there's Deerland Feed. Even things you don't need. I go in there and find things that I don't need, and I'm excited to see them. And I don't need, fence panels and hay holder things, but I like it. They've got it. It's cool. Get by there and check it out. It's 76 degrees in Victoria. I'd call them cloudy skies, heading to a high today of 91. There's a real slight chance of rain mid-morning, but just very little. And thank goodness we've had enough. Isn't it funny how quick we catch up, how we need rain? We need rain so bad. And then it's like, please, can it just stop?
Too much rain.
Unbelievable. We had 6.5 inches, I think, Thursday night out in Terra Vista, and it rained again and again and again all weekend. So, it's nice. I mean, on Friday, Donnie and I went up and went to the Astros game. We'll get to the Astros update here in a few minutes. Crossing Lake Texana, it was full. It's full again. It looks like a Whataburger milkshake. It's all that muddy, reddish brown water. It is an ugly lake, but it was full of water. Daniel Wade White, the first one in. Ricky King comes in second. Greg Garcia's there. Judge Posey, sir, good morning. Scott Tomko, Lisa Poole, Scott Snow, Bobby Leister, Marvin Mikish, Linda Chris, Junior Samples. There's P. Strauss. Good morning, Patrick. Patrick's as pleased as I am about these Astros. There you go. Junior Samples points out, for those interested, the GOP meeting tonight will have free food, 5:30 p.m. right downtown where the GOP meets. If you know, you know. Monty Howard comes in on two platforms, Facebook and YouTube. When you just can't get enough of Wade and Carter, you check in at 7:01 on both platforms. That's interesting. Either that or he got hacked. There's Will Vincent. My mom. Good morning, Mom. Had a great day with Mom yesterday. Went out to Franklin's. Scott Taylor played and had three other people out there, two gentlemen, George Hunt and two other folks, and this lady was really, really good. It was a good time. Last day of crawfish season. The folks at Franklin's do a good job. It was a wonderful day with Mom. And as an aside, I hope that all of you had a fantastic Father's Day. All you dads, all the dads that check in here, hope you had an appreciated Father's Day. Hope you felt appreciated. We celebrate moms. I like to think we celebrate moms all the time. We have Mother's Day, but everybody loves their mama, but we sometimes forget about dad. And I really thought about my father a lot this weekend, and just there's been different things. The boys, I think there's a lot of things about the boys he'd be really proud of right now. I know that my dad would have loved Riker. He would. I can just hear him saying Riker dog. He would have loved him. And yeah. So we had a great weekend reflecting and telling stories about dad, and that's always fun. But it was a good weekend. Everybody's got a dad, you know. I mean, think about it. And chances are yours didn't wear a skirt and try to play women's sports. So you have that going for you. Let's see. Ricky King wants to congratulate HQ 55 baseball for taking second in Destin, Florida's World Series. You can do that, sir. Tammy Keeling, Sherry Jacobs, Jarrett McCrugan. There you go. Hayholder things narrowed it down. Deerland Feed knows what they've got. You need to go by there. They're down there on Water Street. Great spot. Stephanie Connie, Buddy Stavanoa. Monty Howard says, no hack. He just checked in on more than one location. There's Jackie Parsons. Good morning at AT Deerland Feed right now.
Does that make Monty Howard like the Wade Carter VIP of the day? Or, I mean,
he's
multiple locations. That's
right.
Dedication.
And he's got like 2 laptops going, maybe a phone. He could also pick it up. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or does he have no life? That would be the other option.
It's always a chance. Linda Chris says, if you want to eat, the GOP starts at 5:00. So get there early. Get over there after work. Lots to cover today. But I guess the top story, all the wars aside, the top story is the shooter in Minnesota, the guy, Vance Bolter, who we don't usually mention shooters, but this is not an indiscriminate thing. This is a political deal. Wendy Hughes Garcia, good morning. Vance Bolter arrested last night late. You'll recall that Mr. Bolter shot and killed State Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband. And then he went over and shot former State Senator John Hoffman and his wife, maybe a current state senator. At any rate, both the senator and his wife are expected to survive. He was hit 9 times and she was shot 8. And they both, he's undergoing more surgery than her because she was able to make a statement and say, my husband's doing better. We expect him to make a full recovery. But that has not happened yet. Obviously, it just happened the other day. But it's a real, it's a shame because on several levels, you've got folks like me, folks like me who want to say, hey, look, you originally, when this first was reported, it was like, oh, these MAGA Republicans, now they're shooting Democrats. It's just not the case. So folks like me reacted with, hey, don't forget now, Governor Tim Walz appointed this guy to a board. And there's lots of appointees, probably more in Texas than there are in Minnesota. But it's worth noting that, Governor Abbott's he's not appointing Democrats to his boards. It's just not happening. Mark Kurtz is in Spain checking in. Good morning. Wade and Carter's big in Spain. Thank you, brother.
World famous.
It's a global program. We've been checked in from all over the world and really love having you check in, Mark. Thank you for listening to us while you travel. But there's Sheree Brissett. Good morning. We're quick to want to label this guy. He had a manifesto, and they haven't released his manifesto, but apparently Tim Walz was on his list of people he wanted to kill. And then it comes out that he's he's killing people, an extreme anti-abortion guy. So maybe it's because he's a MAGA that he's doing it. And why is it that we can no longer just call crazy crazy? Why do we have to say he's crazy, but he's MAGA crazy, or he's crazy, but he's extreme leftist agenda crazy? This guy was Democrat enough to get appointed by the grossly Democrat governor of Minnesota to some committee. And he and his wife own some kind of a security company, and she was listed as the president. And for some reason, the other day, the day of the shootings, she got pulled over driving. And Cody, does this sound normal to you? She gets pulled over and not detained, but 12 police cars came to the scene, and they were there just discussing things for a little over 3 hours.
Holy cow.
So that's an interesting traffic stop. And what a coincidence on the day that later on her husband went crazy. Now, it's still not understood or confirmed that they lived together or what. It makes you wonder if law enforcement had some tip off like, hey, what's your husband up to? I don't know. Nobody knows. I'm just telling you what we know at this point. But she was involved, his wife.
Which is nothing.
Right. Just like a stretch. Ash is in there, stretch.
Just waiting for tomorrow.
Man, come on home, Ash. But it is interesting. It's an interesting coincidence, if it is, that the wife gets pulled over for a traffic stop that takes over 3 hours and involves 12 law enforcement vehicles. They let her go, and she had family members with her, is the quote. And I don't know if those were children, her children, their children, cousins, aunts. Nobody knows. That has not been given out yet. The source on that article about the shooter is the New York Times. I'm trying to go and see if there's anything else. Tim Waltz in a comment said, and you find this is interesting, very devoid of any accusations. He says, as a country, we cannot become numb to this violence. We are a deeply divided nation. That has become even more clear over the last 2 days. The way we move forward and solve the problems facing our nation is not through hate. It is not through violence. It is through humility, grace, and civility. I could not agree more, Governor Waltz. You're right. But what's glaringly missing there is the assignment of blame that Timmy wants to throw out at the right. Somehow it's got to be Trump's fault. And the fact that it's just not absolutely befuddles the left. It was a manhunt. I'm reading again from the New York Times. It was a manhunt. He had 70 potential targets on his list, including politicians and Planned Parenthood centers. He's been charged with 2 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of attempted second-degree murder. What's the difference between first and second-degree murder there?
1.
Right. Solid. But I think that the idea of second-degree murder, I guess first-degree murder is premeditated. You went out, but I mean, isn't that what he did? He went out there to kill those people. I do not know. At any rate, I have a feeling second's probably easier to prove, and they want to make sure they get him.
So first degree is a predetermined, deliberate, or specific intent to and kill, while second degree is generally an intentional or reckless killing without prior planning.
There you go.
So the planning is the key, which is what you said.
And if you don't label him, if you don't have that burden of proof,
right?
I have to prove that he laid it all out. Then the insanity defense gets the guy off. So what you do is you call him out for second degree, and then you just lock him up.
Right. If you have the wide ruled spiral notebook that he wrote it all down in,
right,
then you can go first degree.
There you go. San Antonio over the weekend, big issues. Cody told me that 2.89 is the magic number of inches of rain in the month of June for San Antonio. San Antonio had 9.5 inches in one day. 13 people confirmed it dead from that flooding. 13 in San Antonio.
It's crazy.
Problem with San Antonio is there's not just readily available higher ground. And there's lots of places. San Antonio is kind of funny. It's right on the verge of like the hill country. There's a lot of stone, limestone barely under the dirt. And when it rains hard and the ground's already saturated, and then you get you get the flash flooding that I've been there. I've been there up by on 281, if you're going north, up by the quarry, where the quarry is up there on your right. I've been there where there's a ditch that I watched water flow over the road on one of those three. It's a concrete drainage ditch, and water was flowing over the road. We couldn't take that exit. We had to go over that overpass, if you will, and then exit further up. Life was going on as normal. The next day I drove by there and that ditch was like 15 feet deep. And the next day there was no water in it. But at that moment, it was 15 feet deep and a raging river. If a kid, a dog, if somebody gets into that, they're just gone. So 13 confirmed deaths in San Antonio over the last week related to the flooding there. Let's take a quick break, and I want to tell you about Iran and Israel when I come back. Folks, Palace Bingo, the 26th, not this Thursday, but the next Thursday. That's where friends meet friends. Let's get out there together and have a great Wade and Carter time. It should be a blast. Ash will be there. I'll be there. Bingo is fun. Let's meet there and have a great time. USA Concrete Coatings, Charlie Garcia. Anything to do with concrete. Level it, seal the cracks, put down a coating on it. You got a pool deck you don't like anymore. He can help you with that. Call Charlie Garcia at 578-HOME. Veracruz Restaurant, simply the best Mexican food in town. Get back into Veracruz today. Full menu available, except for the caldo that's only good on Wednesdays. But chicken fried steak at lunch, you bet they've got it. You can take a big old nap after that on a Monday. Get by there today. I went by the chopping block also on Saturday morning. And they had, Cody, they had the jalapeno with the cream cheese, chicken breast wrapped around it, and bacon.
Oh my God.
They were $3.99 a throw.
Wow.
And they were done. And, so I took them home and Dawn put them on the pellet grill. Fantastic. They had the $14 ribeyes, and the ribeyes were great.
So Dawn does the grilling at y'all's house?
She does a lot of it. I've convinced her that I'm not good at it, and it lets her feel empowered,
He's a giver.
So see that right there, Father's Day. My dad told me long ago, he said, look, if there's something you do and you get married, do it. If you play golf, play golf. Because once you quit, if you're a deer hunter, then hunting, it's time for the men to go hunting. And you go hunt, because if you don't, the first year you don't, it's over. And my dad also said, if there's something you really don't want to do, just don't do it great the first time and let her realize she can do it, and you'll never have to do it again. And that sage advice, my friend, that is sage. I encourage you as you embark on parenthood, consider that. I just can't do this diaper thing very good. You're committed, aren't you? You're all bought in, right? You're going to be helpful.
Yeah.
Father of the year.
No.
Can't wait to see it. You're going to be a great one. Be a great dad. Chopping block, though, get by and get all the meat. They have fajita meat, pre-marinated. They've got chicken wings, anything that you would want to put on the grill. Summertime is fun time. Get by Allen's Wrecker Service, 578-6300. Allen has been busy. Low water crossings, people driving in. We've had some, not sinkholes, but there was one kind of out there in Telfner out there off Mercado Creek. The road kind of washed out. Be careful. If you need him, call Allen at 578-6300. And then the Dollar Floor Store, whether you need laminate flooring, hardwood flooring, tile, whatever you need, they can help you remodel a bathroom, a kitchen, redo an entire downstairs, knock out a wall, make the whole downstairs one contiguous flooring, and it just makes the whole space look bigger. I saw that on Fixer Upper. I got that going for me. Yeah. So the latest on Israel and Iran is they're in a full-blown war, and that's just the way it's going to be, and I don't see how it's going to end anytime soon, in part because Israel feels that Iran at their core wants to kill every Jew and eliminate Israel as a country. That's how they feel. We can't relate to that. I mean, most of you probably just went, oh, come on. But there is nothing. Israel can't give them anything. Israel can't, there's no way to find peace except to defend themselves. And Iran, according to Israel, has already lost air superiority in their own country. Israeli jets flying now unencumbered over the capital city of Tehran. No problem. No problem. They said, hey, it's no problem. We own the airspace above Iran. Iran overnight sending missiles for the second straight day into Israel, killing at least, I saw various deals that said, one said killing 3. This one said killing 8. This is New York Times, Epic Times. But some death in Israel. And at the same time, you've got Emmanuel Macron, I look at him as wishy-washy. The prime minister of France is saying that it is imperative and politically required that France recognize a Palestinian state. The French, arguably the weakest real country on the planet, they seem committed that Israel and Palestine need to have a 2-state system, and France is committed to recognizing that second state. And I find that interesting. I mean, just why France is so bought in that this is what's got to happen. Yeah, Linda Chris says Trump is enemy number 1 in Iran right now. It's interesting to me. I'm going back to even Ronald Reagan that I remember well as a young adult. There's never been in my lifetime, for better or worse, a more important figure than Donald Trump on any level. Not Margaret Thatcher, not Ronald Reagan, just never a more important figure. A BBC today, on the true British feed that we pick up via satellite, the reporter there said the only person in the world who has a chance to slow this war between Iran and Israel is Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And it's very interesting. I mean, and I'm not sure Trump wants to slow this war. I think we reported this when it first happened. This is a proxy war that Israel, in my opinion, attacked sites identified by the CIA and joint intelligence sources. They were very strategic in what they hit. They hit military sites that had the ability to enrich uranium. Benjamin Netanyahu just said emphatically, we will not allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon. We will continue to do this till the ends of the time. We're not going to let them have it. Personally, as we've talked about, with Israel being known as the little sin and with the U.S. being known as the great sin, I think that it's, if not Israel, then us. Somebody's got to keep Iran from having a nuclear weapon. I read it the other day. Guy said, well, we've survived Pakistan, we've survived India. Yeah, but none of those people have stood and screamed, death to America, death to the Jews. And they mean it. It's not, they're telling you who they are, and they mean that. And I think Netanyahu is literally fighting for his existence, the existence of his country. And his people. So at the end of the day, I don't look for this war to end anytime soon. But I did find it interesting that Israel announced we control the airspace above Tehran. which that's big. Let's see. Greg Garcia, going back to the Tim Waltz comments, he said the left wants their narrative to be true so badly. Every event gets them ready to pounce in order to apply blame, but it hadn't happened yet. There were a lot of people on the social media blogs, like on Twitter, on X. There were a lot of people going, looky there, MAGA now drawing blood in Minnesota. No, it wasn't MAGA. It's very interesting that when the left can't pounce on that and blame somebody else, when they have to look inward and go, this guy's just crazy, and he happens to be a Democrat, then they don't really know what to do. There's David Glass, Jordan Glass. Yeah. Junior Sample says all the usual suspects will be at bingo, and you should be there. Hi, John Anderson over in the Carolinas. Yeah. No doubt. Torrin Bell says Melissa could change a dirty diaper with one wipe. It took him an entire box. And how is it that, ladies, you ever watch those, like those Bounty commercials where they sew the quicker picker up, or they kind of go and they wipe up like a gallon of fluid with like one wipe of like those little, the tear to fit paper towels. They just fold it in half, and the lady's got perfect hands and perfect nails, and wipes up all the orange liquid that's all over the counter. When I do that, it just smears everywhere. It doesn't work. It doesn't work the way they show you. But I know exactly what Torrin's talking about, because I've seen ladies change diapers that just go, and they're through every crease, every crevice. They got it all. No problem. When I do it, it just looks like it's just a mess. But my grandbaby, enough about y'all. Let's talk about me. My grandbaby is coming to Texas today. Flying in. Katie will be flying into Austin. Ultimately, we'll be over in Killeen at Fort Cavazos Hood, whatever they want to call it. That's going to happen. Monty Howard knows things. He says kinetic Iran-Israel will stop before too long when Iran runs out of resources, and they're short as it is. I agree. We reported here last week, Iran is as weak as it's ever been. Here's the thing about the Jews. They don't want to own Iran. They're not being imperialistic. They want to be left alone. And people keep poking them. And they've got weapons and they've got attitude, man. The Jews have swagger. They will kill you. You ever notice, like I saw a deal the other day, it said that in Iran, they reported that 224 Iranians have been killed since this fighting started, 21 Jews. It's always that way. You ever notice that? In Gaza, they're like, well, let's see, Palestinians, 148,000 are dead, Jews, 7. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but it's nowhere near 50-50. Not even 80-20. Could it be? Could it just be that maybe the Bible's right and those are God's people and you better watch what you do? How else do you explain that postage stamp of a country, always under siege, thriving? Maybe God's involved. Maybe that's your sign to look upward. I know that the day the United States decides to turn its back on Israel, I promise you, will be the day that our country falls further. You may think this is as bad as it can be. It ain't nowhere near as bad as it can be. You still go to HEB and buy bread. You can gripe about the price of eggs, but at least they're still there. Speaking of that, Trump administration, the left will seize on this as some victory for the left, I guess, or some, we told you so. Go with it. I'm fine with that. The Trump administration pausing deportation of people that work in certain industries, migrant farming, hospitality, restaurants. You no longer have to be afraid to go to work at a restaurant because ICE is not coming in to deport you. They pointed out today that 42% of all farm workers are not documented legal residents of the country. Over 480,000 of them is the estimate. Whereas in the hotel business, it's 1.1 million people estimated to not be of legal status. What gets me about that is I can meet the left halfway on that. These aren't MS-13 people. These aren't people that need to be roped and taken out of the country immediately. They're not. These are the people, the working people. These are the people that I could see a pathway to permanent residence. We've talked about that here on the program, that there's certain folks that, oh, wow, you've been here since, all your life, and you went to school at that high school, but your parents are illegal. So rather than deport you, why don't we go ahead and make you legal? We're going to get you a green card. We're going to give you a permanent residence visa. It can be revoked if you get arrested or you put out your parameters. You commit a felony, you get 2 DWIs, you're out of here. But we let you stay. You don't vote. You're not a citizen. And you don't affect our census when it comes to political representation. If 10 million illegals want to live in LA, that doesn't get them another congressperson. It shouldn't. So if we can agree on that, I'm all for letting the good folks stay. That's about as close as I get to amnesty. They're not going to be Americans. They're not going to vote. They will pay taxes. They effectively have taxation without representation, but they're here by choice. They can always go home. That's my take on them. But the Trump administration deciding to back off of those wholesale deportations. They've already deported 279,000 was the number I got, which was down from the year of 24 was 271 for the year. They're at 279 year to date. So roughly 2 to 1. Obama deported 450,000 people in 1 year. Trump's on pace to do 558. It's not the end of the world. Now, Obama's deportations often involved finding someone at the border, determining that they were not here legally, and sending them back. This is the same process that the left goes nuts over, saying that the Trump administration doesn't provide due process. Due process. The process you are due is different depending on your status. If you're an American, due process to you is you're guaranteed representation. You're guaranteed that you may have a trial by jury. You're guaranteed a lot of things because you're an American. If you're not an American, due process is we reviewed your paperwork. You're here illegally. Go home. That is due process for those folks. Obama sent 450,000 of them home in 1 year. Trump's on pace to pass that up, but not by millions. Jared McCrugan asks the question, what are the Iranians, what are the resources they're short of? Monty Howard answers quickly: leadership, aircraft, missiles, money. They are broke. Jared McCrugan counters, not sure. There have been lots of internal opposition to the regime that's getting quashed. Hopefully, this is the final impetus that topples it. Yes, Benjamin Netanyahu did say just this weekend, I think there's a chance that you'll see a regime change in Tehran after the attack, because they killed some key military generals. They killed some key nuclear scientists. So Greg Garcia echoes, God always defends his people. That's been evident throughout history. Yep. Jonathan Williams asks, good morning. When is the No Queens protest? Yeah. I don't know. Should we have that? Very interesting. It's funny because, the left was all bunched up. We had a little protest here. By the way, I drove by out of respect. Actually, I had gone to the bank and I had to come around. I wanted to go to HEB, so I was on airline. And I took a right and was going north on Navarro. And I looked over and I said, wow, look at all those protesters. And I was excited for them because it was kind of drizzly. I said, hey, that's great, But then I realized that there was a definite split. I'm just being observant. The farmers market was going on, and it was 8-1 farmers market versus the protest. And the protest, bless their heart, apparently they weren't on the big protest list, Cody, because the signs they had were all handmade and some of the words were misspelled. And it looked like somebody went and bought poster, and you've got to realize when you make a sign like that, when you're going to protest, you can't just write it in thin line. You've got to have a Sharpie. I mean, you need to no, it's got to be a big, bold. It's got to be this. It just can't be like a little pencil. Some people look like they were holding up white boards because you couldn't read it.
So we've had reports on the Wade and Carter Facebook page that there were hundreds of people.
There simply were not.
You don't think it's possible?
No, that's not even close. But by the way, the fact that they report we had 120 on our sign-up sheet, that's exactly how the Democrats got 81 million votes for Joe Biden. I mean, if I went and looked at the sign-up sheet, half those people are probably dead.
Right.
They signed up. But I was there, and I looked, and I saw 5 or 6 signs, and then they had like a little easy up. They're very organized. They're just so busy, and it's because they care so much. And they were standing out there, but as far as I know, there was no violence. They were perfectly peaceful, Well,
that's good.
I like that. Kathleen Leininger says she agrees with not just throwing people out willy-nilly, but hey, don't, you live on double secret probation, right? And that's not unfair. It's not unfair. You know the rules. You can stay here. You can work at the Hilton. You can pay your taxes and you can live in our country. But if you steal, some people would just get a misdemeanor and maybe pay a fine. If you steal, you go back to Honduras. That's the way it ought to be. I'm not talking about being in the Philippines or whatever and lopping off somebody's hand. I'm not talking about seeing the one-armed lady working at the Hilton. Oh, she must have stolen something. I'm saying if she's here and she's stealing, she's gone. DWI, gone. Child molestation, gone. It's a simple deal. Green card, permanent resident status. You live in the Garden of Eden. Just don't eat the fruit. Once you understand that, you can stay here. Yeah. H.R. Mallory, basically my personal law enforcement consultant. It's who I go to. He said there is due process. Congress approved expedited removal. Clinton signed it into law, and Obama used the hell out of it. And that is the truth. Yeah. Now, Linda Chris points out, unfortunately, California will find a way to count the illegals. They will let them vote as well. If they voted Republican, the Dems would be kicking them out by the truckload. And that is the truth. And what's good for the goose is good for the gander. It was recently pointed out that a second federal judge shot down Donald Trump's demand that proof of citizenship be provided in order to vote. Now, stop and think about that for a minute. You need to be able to show that you are an American citizen in order to vote. We all agree that legally only American citizens can vote. Why is it an affront to anybody to have to prove that you're a citizen to vote? I mean, you have to have I don't know if do you have to be a citizen, Cody, to get a driver's license? I don't think so. I don't know, because I know some dudes that aren't citizens that drive. My question is, Why would a federal judge say
Yes.
you do have to be a citizen?
You'll need to provide proof of U.S. citizenship or lawful presence and fulfill other requirements like passing vision and knowledge tests.
So when I have my driver's license in my hand, by extension, by definition, I'm an American citizen. So
Correct.
why is it such an affront? In fact, I think they do it here. You can walk in, you've either got to have, I guess, your voter registration card or an ID. But what's wrong with just going, that's me? See, that's my face on there. That's me. A federal judge said, no, you can't do that. You can't. That would be exactly like, it is exactly like, I've gone out before. I've played golf at Victoria Country Club. I'm not a member. They have a meeting to talk about assessments. We need a new roof, and it's going to cost $150,000. And I show up at their membership meeting and just say, I'm for that. I'm for the new roof. Well, I'm sorry, Mr. Carter, you're not a member. You don't get to vote. It would be as if I'm not a member of a certain church and I show up when they approve their budget. Hey, I'm for that. But you're not a member of this church. You don't have a vote. Nobody gets offended by those things. Nobody's upset. But the most important thing in our country, the integrity of our election process. Oh, you can't ask them to prove that they're American. Whatever happened to us? Can anybody explain to me how that's an affront to the republic? To just say, I'm sorry, are you a U.S. citizen? Do you have proof of that? Is it because those people might be Latino and you could be viewed as profiling and that could be viewed as discrimination? So, I mean, if everybody has to show proof of citizenship to vote, is that a bad thing? I don't get it. I wish I understood. I don't even understand what the left's problem is with it, except that, prove me wrong, they want to harvest illegal votes. Whoa. If you take out all the illegals in California, the Republicans might win. And then with that pesky electoral college, oh, man, it's anarchy. It's the end of the democracy. Well, we don't live in a democracy, boneheads. And it worked really good for over 200 years. And the left is hell-bent on destroying it, which Jen Psaki's us, circles us back to either the ignorance or the vehemence of the protesters this weekend. Either they're ignorant that their national party hates this country. It's funny how they say, no kings. We want no kings. As Donald Trump is celebrating the 250th anniversary of the United States Army that was put together to defeat a king. The United States Army was put together to defeat the King of England. No kings. There are no kings in our country. And yet the left tried to shove a queen down your throat. The left tried to shove a queen down your throat. Kamala Harris, 0 votes to put her as the candidate for the left. Think about that for a second. No more kings. Give us Kamala. Give us Kamala because we're just hapless sheep. Nobody can tell me any plan that woman had for anything. And I'm not saying Trump's doing any better. Not saying Trump had a great plan, although there are numerous instances of promises made, promises kept. You may not like them, but he has done what he said he was going to do. Kamala Harris never told you she was going to do anything. All she did was...
Isn't somebody being forced on you as your leader? Isn't that a kink?
Basically. And that's what they did. Either if you don't hate Trump enough, if you don't vote for her, you hate black people, you hate women, you hate black women, You hate America if you vote, oh, you're a Nazi, you're a fascist, you're a white supremacist. Boy, you've really seen a lot of that KKK action since he took office, haven't you? I haven't.
Right.
Haven't seen it. They made it up, they spread fear, and the next thing you know, you realize that they just lied to you. Yep. I'm reading, let's see. Blah, blah, blah. Junior Sample is upset with Jill Buchanan. I'm not. She's been exposed. Yeah. So Linda Chris says, you don't have to go through all this with the illegals. Just all we have to do is stop supporting them. No more health care, education, free food, housing. Stop all that. People are all upset. And I don't get this one either. People are upset that in Texas, Governor Abbott made this the rule just this week. In Texas, if you are here illegally, you no longer get to go to our public universities on in-state tuition. Just because you live here doesn't give you some state resident right that allows you to go to our. So if you're that committed to education, pay the out-of-state tuition or go to another state to go to school. You certainly have no birthright to go to my university or Texas A&M. I don't get it. People are all bunched up on the left. Why wouldn't you allow them to have in-state tuition? They live here. How about I just deport them? The left always giving away other people's money. It blows my mind. I don't get it. Let's see. I'm just reading. It says, it's funny the Democratic Party always wants to hand out pocket Constitution. The programs they are crying over are nowhere near the Constitution. Tammy points out, she said, you probably have a little gold star on your driver's license, right? So why should you also have to bring a birth certificate to vote? I didn't have to bring a birth certificate.
I've never had to bring a birth certificate to vote.
But I don't know. I mean, I think maybe she's legitimately asking a question and not making a contra point. Because there's lots of people that have birth certificates that may show another country. Ash, for example, has a birth certificate that shows Canada. He doesn't have to bring a birth certificate to vote because he's an American citizen.
Yeah, that would defeat the purpose, in my opinion.
Yeah, I haven't heard of anybody having to bring, I'm going to be dead wrong because I'm just so white and have so much privilege, you know. Monica Joe says, I got my driver's license at 14, never had it suspended or revoked. But the last time I had to renew it at 43, she said she had to have a birth certificate. Okay, to renew it. That makes sense, I guess. I guess they're confirming you're an American. That's interesting.
So to renew the driver's license,
Had to have
not to go vote.
No, but to renew her driver's license. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. H.R. Mallory. And that was funny. She said, he says, I loved all the posts about Trump is an idiot. The country's only 249 years old. So how could the army be 250? Hello. We had to get the army together to earn the country. By the way, hats off, tip of the cap to the United States fighting man in all branches of the service. But each branch, for example, 250 years ago, planes didn't fly. We didn't have an Air Force. And hats off to the United States Army. People made a big deal about the parade. They're still making a big deal. The magic number I've heard is $45 million. Why did they spend $45 million on a parade? It was all for Trump's ego. It was all for Trump. If it was
for his it was his birthday party.
Like it's his fault. His birthday's June 14th. But if it was all for his ego, then it was put in place by Joe Biden. The Biden administration correctly, respectfully did the right thing. and planned a large celebration to promote the fact that the United States Army turned 250. Hats off to Donald Trump for not cutting that pre-approved expense. And the numbers vary, right? You've got those guys, they're all on salary. It's not like you're paying them overtime to, put stuff on a plane and fly it to DC. I mean, it also shows how quickly we can deploy. It's worth people seeing that. We start on a Monday. Well, on Saturday, we can have a parade with troops, hardware, tanks, rocket launchers. Important to see. I was proud. I actually sat and watched some of it. I could not watch the U.S. Open won by J.J. Spawn. He was the only dude under par. I'll admit it. I think there's golf courses that are too easy. There's courses that are the same every year, right? Like Augusta National. Whatever Tiger did, you can compare pretty much apples to apples with somebody else because the course is the course. The U.S. Open moves every year. Oakmont, I truly believe, I'm a serviceable golfer. Probably a 15 handicap. I can play. I always joke, I can go anywhere and shoot 90. The truth of the matter is, I believe I would shoot 200 on that golf course. Anytime you were out of the fairway, it was punitive. There was grass up over your ankles. Anytime that you were out of the short grass, and the fairways aren't big, it was an amazing test of golf. And when you see people on the first day, there were guys that were like 5 over, and the announcer, Gary Koch, a former tour player, made the comment. He goes, these guys have really got to refocus because they have to understand that by the end of the weekend, 10 over may make the cut and you may be in this thing. The guy that wins it shot 1 under for the week. Next was 1 over, then a 2 and a 3. Very, very, it had to just be the most grueling. It just shows that golf is a game you play against the course, not so much against an opponent. And the course clearly won at Oakmont. What a brutal, brutal test of golf. J.J. Spawn wins. Let's take the Astros update. Tell you what, the Astros are so good. Let's take a quick break, and I'll tease you with the Astros update when I come back. Folks, White Trash Services and White Trash Site Services. Whether you need it torn down and hauled off or you need weekly trash service, all in the contiguous counties and beyond. Dial 550-1826. If you can hear my voice, White Trash will come to you. 550-1826. Parvita Wellness. Get in and get healthy. Vita Cafe, they're offering breakfast, sneaking up on offering brunch. Erica Briggs has done a fantastic job and offers up a wonderful new location here in Victoria. And, of course, Parvita Wellness over on Airline at Laurent. Great, great, healthy fare. Go get it. By the way, Cody, first time in decades, got on the scale this weekend. It touched 235.
That's awesome.
I haven't been that low in well over 20 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Chesnick Furniture. Chesnick and Love, would you like to elaborate on how good I look?
You look amazing. I was going to say I've never been that low.
Stop it. You were a big baby. You're big bone.
Yeah,
Chesnick Furniture. Chesnick and Love make your house a home. Get in and see why. You just always do better at Chesnick. Nicest people. Great furniture. They have a great product. They help you get the product you need. Get into Chesnick Furniture this week. Check them out. Brand us. Call the commander. Email the commander. Text the commander. He'll help you expand your Facebook presence, your internet presence, monetize things. He was talking to me this morning about a paywall. We've got things going on, and the commander is integral. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. You need a new car. You may not think you do, but you probably do. Get by Atzenhofer today. If the flags are flying, folks are buying. They're just down the Navarro Motor Mile from higher prices. One family, 99 years. Atzenhofer and Atzenhofer.com. And Went Services. Went for all your electrical needs. Generac generator, American made, Wisconsin. They'll help you when the power goes off. Generac comes on. It'll be great. Reach out to Went for all your electrical opportunities. There you go. Let's see. Callie Frommy says, I saw someone commenting about how very smart the illegals are. I mean, they are bilingual. There you go. If they're that smart, their academic scholarship should cover. I agree. Okay. Ricky King says, they make you bring your birth certificate in order to renew your driver's license to get the gold star on it. So it is a real ID that states you are a U.S. citizen. I have such status. Yeah. And I agree with Timmy King. Okay, yep. So there's no need to bring your birth certificate to vote because you've already got verified citizenship with the state. And I like that. But the key point was a federal judge said that was illegal, that Trump can't do that, can't make it so that you have to prove citizenship in order to vote. We have a means in Texas to prove citizenship with our driver's license. If other states had that, you wouldn't have to bring your driver's license, your birth certificate in order to vote because you'd already be verified. Yep. Patrick Strauss leads into a really, really nice First State Bank of Louise Astros update for all your banking needs. First of all, the First State Bank of Louise is the nicest place you'll ever do business. They're super friendly. They care. They get it. They're small enough to know you by name. They're big enough to solve your banking opportunities. Free checking, free savings, no strings attached. Go in and help your kids set up an account and help them. The Astros now lead the Seattle Mariners by 4.5 games. Texas by 5.5. The Astros have won 5 in a row. Texas, by the way, has won 4 in a row to just keep pace at 5.5 games back. Listen to this, folks. The Astros, I went to the game on Friday, and the Astros won 10-3 in just a bat fest. Altuve had a dong. There were a bunch. Astros just dominated the Twins. They sweep the Twins. They took the series with the White Sox. They took the series with the Guardians. They took the series with the Pirates, and they split with the Tampa Bay Rays, going all the way back to May the 22nd. The Astros have won 8 of their last 10. They lost the last game with Cleveland to still take the series 2 out of 3, and they lost the first game with the White Sox, and they've since won 5 in a row. Victor Caratini yesterday tied the game with a sac fly in the 9th, and Mauricio Dubon hit a walk-off single in the 10th. You'll recall they put a runner on second to start the extra innings. The Astros got the Twins out, and then the Astros runner, Dubon, hit a single, and the Astros runner scored from second with a walk-off single. The Astros just finding a way to get it done. They've moved people around. They traded Forrest Whitley. He was designated for assignment. They traded him, which means he will be on. Where did Whitley go? Did you see that? He'll be on somebody's big league club because he's out of options. He's not going to the minors. But
the Rays.
Tampa Bay took him. I'm sorry, it's an experiment that didn't work, and they spent millions on that kid. But the Astros, when you consider all the people that are playing without Garcia, without Ronel Blanco, just on and on and on, Arrighetti, they're going to get some healthy arms back right here after the All-Star break. The Astros very quietly now 11 games above 500. Winners of 8 of their last 10, 5 in a row. The Seattle Mariners have won 3 in a row and lost ground. Mariners now 36-34. Astros playing tremendous baseball, tremendous team baseball. This team has come together. Dana Brown, to me right now, GM of the year. Picking up Christian Walker. The night we were there, Walker had a single, a double, and a home run. He goes 3 for 4 and has 4 RBIs. Astros baseball, folks. It's fun. It's contagious. I dedicate that Astros update to my friend P. Strauss. Folks, we're here at the top of the hour. Want to wish you nothing but a great Monday. I hope that everything goes the way you want it to. And remember, we always say you can't win the week if you don't win Monday. Go get them, and we love you. Have a great day and be safe on the road, folks.
Well, I've been kicked out of my near every bar around. I've been locked up for driving 120 through town. I've been shot at and cut with a knife, messing